Well, hi and welcome back to Seekers and Cynics. This is Bodmin Road Church and my name is Richard Bentley, and today I want to finish my series looking at the Bible, and we've been looking at what's in it and whether we can trust it, in particular the Gospels and the New Testament. And I just want to round this off firstly with a brief mention about different translations, and then just with a final few thoughts for this series. So, obviously, the Bible wasn't written in English. The Old Testament was written mainly in Hebrew, and the New Testament was written in Greek. And so, if we're going to read it today, unless you study those languages, you're going to have to read a translation. Now, don't let that put you off. Translation happens all over the world for all sorts of books, novels, textbooks. Stuff gets translated into all sorts of languages, and generally speaking, when we translate, the meaning is not lost. That's not a problem. We know how to translate from one language to another. Yes, there can be little funny errors sometimes, but generally speaking, translation is not a problem, and it's the same with the Bible. So don't fear that somehow reading it in English you're losing the original meaning and the original sense. That's really not the case. There's one or two places in the Old Testament where we perhaps struggle a little bit with what a word meant or how to translate, but it is only the odd place. It never affects anything major in the Bible. So don't let translation put you off. It's absolutely fine to be reading it in English, and the most important thing to do is find a translation that you can read. It needs to be in good, plain, simple, modern English. Some Christians cling to the King James Bible, the authorized version, and there's really no reason to do that. It is in no way spiritually superior. It was translated under the authority of King James in 1600 odd. That's why it's called the King James Bible. And of course, in England, then we spoke a rather different version of English. We spoke with these and thous and couldeths and shouldeths and wouldeths and doeths, and so we translated the Bible into that form of English. At the time, it was fresh, cutting edge, and contemporary. And it isn't anymore because the English language has changed since. So when you read the King James version, don't think that somehow that's the proper original. It's not. It's just the best English translation that was possible at the time that it was done. But it's no longer a very good English translation because it uses a form of English that we're not familiar with. So get something that's in modern English. And there's lots of different choices. I'd recommend the Good News Bible, the Living Bible, the Contemporary English Bible, the New International Version, the English Standard Version. Oh, there's loads, as long as you can read it. And if you compare them, you will find that they all say the same thing. It's just that when you translate, there are different ways of expressing something with the same meaning but slightly different words, and that's the only difference there is with translations. Same meaning, slightly different words, and each translation is trying to help us really get the gist of what the original author said. Just find something that works for you. Some translations use long words and long sentences, and some try to break it down a bit more simply. It really is a matter of what works for you. The only one you must avoid is a translation called the New World Translation. That is the Jehovah's Witness translation of the Bible. It is not true and accurate to the original Greek. In many places it will be the same as another translation, but on some key points, particularly around the person of Jesus, the text has been mistranslated, deliberately mistranslated, and it is not a reliable translation from a scholarly point of view. The New World Translation, just pop it gently in the bin. But there's a whole gamut, a whole range of other translations that are just fine. Find one that works. If you like the King James and you can understand it and you're happy with couldeths and shouldeths, nothing wrong with it, great. But for most people, it's not the easiest read. Maybe you really struggle to read full stop, and these days, you can find the spoken Bible. If you have a look on the internet, you can buy it on DVD, you can probably find it on YouTube. And on YouTube as well, there are some very good sort of visual forms of the Bible. In fact, there's a company called The Visual Bible, and they've done a version of Matthew and of John, the two Gospels, with actors acting the parts, but the text, the words, they've not dramatized it, they've just stuck exactly to the text in the Bible. So it's a little bit wooden in places, but it gives you exactly what's in the Bible, but with some pictures, some actors, some faces. The guy who plays Jesus in the Matthew version of that always strikes a chord with me. I just feel there's a very good representation of Jesus there. So the Visual Bible, that's on YouTube, you'll find it, or any, as I say, audio Bible that you can get a hold of. You don't have to struggle if reading isn't your thing. Let me just say a couple of other things. Why bother at all? Well, you know what? Jesus said, we shouldn't live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. And he said that if we hear his words and put them into action, they'll be life-changing. We'll be like a man who built his life on solid rock, and when the storm came, it stood the test. But that if we ignore his words, we'll be like the man who built his house on sandy ground. And it looked very nice, but when the rain and the wind came, it got washed away. If we want lives that are robust and resilient and strong, the Bible will bring that to us. If we will read it a little bit at a time, take notice of it, put it into practice, it will be life-changing. It will be life-changing. The Bible promises to be bread, food for our soul. It promises to be light to guide our path. It promises in another place to be like a sharp blade, a double-edged blade that can cut right through. I've got nonsense in my life. I guess you have too. We think daft things, we do daft things. And the Bible, when I read it, will cut through that so often. And it just holds up a mirror to who I am and reminds me of who I need to be. And cuts away the dross and the rubbish. It's a powerful, powerful book. And I've found myself so many times as I open its pages, that gently and quietly, not in a noisy way, but just in my heart, I sense God speaking to me. Sometimes encouragement, sometimes inspiration, sometimes correction, sometimes comfort, sometimes challenge. But through those pages, if you open your heart to them, God will speak. So I want to encourage you. Open. Particularly the pages of the New Testament, we've looked at where it's best to start. Start with the Gospels and just ask God to meet with you and speak to you through those words. Next time, we're going to look at the meaning of Easter. We're coming up to Easter, so next week I'm going to start a little couple of talks just looking at the meaning of Easter. So we'll see you then. God bless. Bye for now.